All right, so measurement, we want to get, you're gonna do 2 channels. So what I do is I'll do the length times the average width times the depth. So we'll go, 1 measurement, 2 measurement, 3 measurement, 4 measurement, 5 measurement, and then averaging them out, you add them up, divide by 5. That'll give you 1 measurement, then your length, then your depth.
All right, so first you add up 5 different locations since this is not going to be a straight square. So you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and total of that is 15. I'm gonna average it out, so you get 3. And you're gonna take your 3 and you're gonna multiply it by your distance, go a little bit over, so 31 times by 3. And then we're going to do it times by the height. And then we're going to take that amount, which is 192 cubic inches, and we're going to change that into a liters. So you can use your calculator. So that is 3.18 liters that will be needed for pouring this side. Did the exact same thing on the other side and got 2.99. So overall it's going to be about 5. But sometimes when you pour, it goes underneath, or there's a little bit of spillage over and underneath other areas. So you're going to do 6 liters just to be on the safe side.
So we're going 6 liters.
Okay.
So you're going to go, of A, you're going to go up to 4. And so pour it in heavy till you get to about 3, and then start slowing it down.
So is this if you're doing 4 and 2, so it's not a 1 and 1, it's a 2 and 1?
This is a 2 to 1, yep.
And that's for this specific epoxy, right?
This is for this specific application of epoxy. Almost every epoxy company has different variations of epoxy. This happens to be a deep pour.
So that's almost right at 4.
So is there a point in which you would use this for a 1 and 1 instead?
No, because it's specifically formulated for deep pour epoxy at 2 to 1.
Okay,
And so
so
that's
for this to work.
For this to work, yeah, that's a common question. Can I use it at 1 to 1 to get it to cure faster? No. A couple of advantages of the deep pour. Obviously, the depth that you can pour it in one shot is the main reason, hence deep pour. But the reason it's formulated to be deep pour is it has a much longer cure time at 72 hours and a setup time. So this won't even start getting tacky until tomorrow morning, if you will. Plenty of work time, so we are not in a hurry. I tell people all the time to have a 6-pack and some music going. So you're trying to go from 4 now and just stop at 6. Because we'll mix for 20 minutes. We'll put it in the vacuum chamber. The vacuum chamber pulls dissolved gas out of the epoxy, not necessarily bubbles you create from the mix. So if you want to start mixing by hand, we'll mix by hand for a little while. Speed's not necessarily an advantage. So just be consistent, scrape the sides, scrape the bottom. I like to pull the stick out, let it drip off the end of the stick.
So at what point do you know that it's done?
So what you're looking for is you can see the swirls. So once the swirls become clear, so there's no lines in the epoxy.
No differentiating, okay.
That tells you that it's fully incorporated with each other. So my recommendation on mixing is 20 minutes of mixing and then just let it rest, and then it reincorporates and does its thing. We'll put it in the vacuum chamber. Most customers don't have a vacuum chamber that'll pull the dissolved gas out, and so that'll be part of the 20 minutes or so resting period, 30 minutes resting period. You got plenty of work time. I mean, you could sit here and mix this for 4 to 6 hours probably before pouring, especially at this temperature. And then we'll mix the color in, and you mentioned baking, right? So when you bake with flour and you put water in there, it clumps up.
Yeah.
Your mica is going to do the same thing. So what we want to do is let it rest after we add the color so that the mica has a chance to absorb all of the liquid epoxy.
Okay.
And then we'll mix it again and reincorporate it. So.
Makes sense. Yeah, you can see all the air bubbles in it.
Yep.
It's interesting.
Yeah, all that'll come out.
So you see on a lot of the channels, the people that use a little torch thing after they pour to pull out bubbles.
Yep.
With doing the vacuum, is that needed then
It's
during
not,
that? Or?
whether or not you use a vacuum, it's not needed.
Oh, okay.
It will, in most cases, dissipate. Deep pour epoxy, if you use, again, if you use the right epoxy, it'll dissipate all the bubbles over time.
Okay.
It's fun to pop the bubbles.
Yeah.
It's satisfying. So, it's still fun to do. see the effect. But if you used a different epoxy, or if you were in a hotter, a warmer environment where you didn't have as much of a delay, it had a rushed cure,
Yeah.
then you would want to pop as many of those bubbles. We're going to surface this back down to bare wood and epoxy after it cures. So any bubble that was on the surface anyways is typically going to get planed off.
Okay.
What you don't want to have is to mix too late in the process to get the swirls and introduce bubbles that will then be, you know, a couple millimeters underneath your surfacing layer.
So if you don't have a vacuum thing at home, then how long is your stirring, curing, stirring process?
Same.
Okay.
The only extra thing, it'll have some set time in the vacuum pump. Everything else is the same.
Okay.
So again, it's formulated and designed to offload those gases through the curing process. But if we were doing a crystal clear epoxy, what you would have is out here in space, you'd have a micro bubble creep up later in the cure, and it's not coming from the wood, it's coming from the chemical reaction creating the bubble.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So there's
Yeah.
dissolved gas. I'd have to go back to the manufacturer and check the chemistry with them what the gas is, but it's a dissolved gas inside of the liquids. Just set it down in there. All right, now the fun part. Well, the first fun part.
The first one.
So you can see how most of the bubbles, you can still see some micro bubbles down in there. Mm-hmm. And we may off gas it one more
Do you
time.
care about things in it?
Nope, not
Oh,
really.
okay.
No, we can pull those out, but you're going so dark that it's just going to get lost in it. So.
Yeah, I was curious about dust and stuff. Like, do you ever worry about dust settling?
Not with deep pour. If I was doing a tabletop epoxy, then yes. But deep pour, we're gonna plane it off. So anything that settles on the surface is gonna get removed later on, anyways. You can always add more color. You can never take it away.
Needs a little spout.
You can actually put too much in there, but I would start with one little tip of that. So slow speed all the time. So that gives you a little baseline for your color.
Okay. Add more or?
Sure. You add until you're happy with the consistency.
Well, like, okay, because it has to keep.
I can add a blue liquid pigment to go more opaque if we need it, but if you add enough of that, you'll get to the point where
Okay.
you issue, it's going to clump up. We want it to saturate and soak. Now what you can do, leave it in the bottom as much as possible.
Okay.
Let go. And then you can come up here and just kind of, it's all about trigger control. Yeah. So what you'll see is if I go about an inch in, that's how translucent it would be.
Okay.
So you're still going to see, and you can kind of see on the sides how clear it
So
is.
like a lot.
You might need a lot, yeah.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. Like, is there a point where you're like, don't add that much at one time because it clumps faster?
No.
Okay.
You're just going for a consistency.
Okay.
I mean, that's an inch, and you're looking down in it, you can't see anything through it.
All right. Yeah, I like it. I almost don't know if I want to add the white to it. I kind of just like that color. Side blue.
Okay. Real quick.
Back in it goes. Ooh, that's fun. So what are you looking for now?
I would probably let it sit for a little while, release some of the air, but also make sure that all the mica is incorporated. You want to put the other clear back in? Do you want to reserve it for white later on?
Let's reserve that
Okay.
just in case.
Okay.
And maybe
You're going to be happy with it either way, so don't. I
yeah.
mean, just stick with whatever your gut says and say, whatever you're trying to achieve.
I think we'll pour this. There will be stuff left in the bottom. We'll just try to throw a little bit of white in it, see if I like it.
Okay.
And if we do, mix up that and add it into it when we're ready. I like the blue and the black. I don't know if I want to mess with that. So at what point do you have to worry about everything catching on fire?
For the epoxy, you mean?
Yeah, like the heating cycle.
If it was 80 degrees in here, then maybe you'd look at it overheating that much. But if we poured a 1-to-1 2 inches thick, then you would have smoke. I don't know if I've ever heard of actual flames occurring. So
Just get the smoldery effect.
yeah, and then it cracks and fizzles. So think chemical fire.
Yep. So what do you do? If that
Another thing I
happens?
haven't tested.
Right?
Well, your pore's generally ruined. There are occasions where where people have, let's say, cracked, and somebody went back in there with a gold, and then poured gold in there, or you can pour clear, so you make the cracks a feature. But
Okay. Yeah. Do you have risks of cracking later, further then, or
not really. I mean,
okay?
you shouldn't.
Just kind of once it's done, it's done.
Yeah. Once from that regard, yeah, you wouldn't crack anymore. Once the cure is done, you're set. If you poured into a crack and you had not a strong bond, the wood was expanding and contracting, then it could pull away or something like that. But so mixing it in later, that's probably what it would look like.
Oh, that's kind of pretty too.
They're all kind of pretty. You can't go wrong. You can just
To have too many options.
go different. Yeah. So if we put white in there now, you can kind of see where it's blue and black versus now blue and, so now
that's
you have
pretty.
a different layer.
Do you want to mix up like 6 more cups and make this harder?
Listen, sky's the limit, so
Right?
I've got plenty of cups.
That's really pretty. But because this is a gift for a guy, I'm going to go with straight. There's no
Pour.
wrong answer.
Pour it or don't pour it? Pouring.
Just pour it. Just do it. Don't give me any more choices.
Pour slow. You can pour into one end, try and avoid my clamps, or you can pour straight on top of the wood, whatever you're comfortable with.
Is there any wrong way to do this?
No, not really.
And
Don't
how
splash.
How far up do you pour?
You can pour it all the way almost to the top and then let it settle and then move on to the next section. I try and reserve the tough spots till later because you have less to pour.
Okay. Ah, need to get. Ooh, don't set it down.
Don't stick to the.
It's the little things that you learn. All right, and then the cap get
So
the.
grab the little corner and then just overfill it. Yeah, you want to pour slow on the sides. We want to kind of eliminate bubbles that might occur by pouring too fast and trapping air under the wood itself.
So now, how do they get the really cool designs and stuff?
At honey stage or molasses, you come in and kind of do swirls or linear lines or whatever, but at the same time, it's going to do its own chemical reaction. So that's where you get those kind of cells that develop.
Okay.
So it really depends on what the effect is you're looking for.
And then do you have to like do anything, or it just will do
It'll
its
do its thing.